Peeps Galucia here, and today I am starting my FTB / IndustrialCraft tutorial. And the key of this tutorial is going to be, as we said in the Army, break it down Barney style. And that means to break it down in the simplest possible terms and explain everything in detail so that you know exactly what's going on. I will be implementing elements of other mods, as there are almost 200 mods in FTB Infinity involved. But the key, the focus here, is going to be IndustrialCraft. So without any further delay, let's get started. Now, the first thing you definitely need to do when you start a new world in FTB is the same thing you need to do with any world of Minecraft, and that is to pick a location for your house. Now, if you plan on incorporating other elements of other mods, this will come into play because different biomes have different types of materials. But since I'm focusing on IndustrialCraft, this does not matter as much. But the one key thing is I want to be at sea level, and that'll become apparent why later. Even though it would be cool to build it up on side of a hill like this and have an awesome view, we want to be down at sea level. So I like that area that I'm looking at down there. It's flat, it's right on the sea level. There's just a few trees to get out of the way. Now you'll notice that I have a few things in my inventory. I started with a bonus chest, no reason not to. I'm going to get into what you need to build right out of the gate and why you need to build it, and we'll get into that. Now these are Mine Factory rubber trees. They're different from the IndustrialCraft rubber trees, but they both work to the same capacity, just slightly different. The Mine Factory, you get more rubber from just chopping it down, but with the IndustrialCraft rubber trees, they have tree taps that you can smack to get resin. It's really just point of preference, I think. It's just whatever you prefer. I actually prefer the IndustrialCraft 2 rubber trees as opposed to the Mine Factory, but like I said, these work, so there's no reason not to chop them down, because we are going to need rubber. And that is the first material that we're going to talk about that is mod related, obviously, because we just came across that. The key in the beginning here is, like I said, to make a home, but then to get started with the IndustrialCraft stuff as fast as possible, because the IndustrialCraft stuff is going to dramatically speed up anything. Whatever it is that you get, as soon as you start getting into the machine part of the game, it's going to speed up everything. You're going to get a lot more resources, and your life's going to become more automated and a lot simpler and better. So the sooner we can get started on that, the better off we're going to be. Now, normally when you start any Minecraft world for the first time, the very first thing that you start doing is you start making a set of tools for yourself out of wood, being the most basic thing that's available for you right away. But along with that, you're also going to want to make a tree tap. I actually randomly got one in the chest, but to make it, it's really simple. You just need 5 pieces of wood, and you literally just make the shape of a tree tap. You want to have one of those handies just in case you come across the IC2 version of a rubber tree. We actually haven't come across that yet. Oh, wow. An iron bush. We can get iron berries. Get out of my inventory. Yeah. Iron berries. That's nice that that's right there. Ow! I touched it. Don't touch the metal berries bushes. So we haven't actually run into any IndustrialCraft 2 rubber trees yet, but we want to have them, like I said, just in case we do. There's a swamp over there. The likelihood of running into an IC2 rubber tree in a swamp is increased compared to your odds of running into it anywhere else. They're more likely to spawn in a swamp. So since we are really close to a swamp, that it's a decent bet that we're going to run into one. So just bear that in mind. Make a tree tap just so you have one. Now, it's worth noting that FTB as a whole is a lot more dangerous than your standard Minecraft. And that first night, which we are rapidly approaching right now, is going to be a lot more difficult to survive. I remember first starting out in Minecraft and hiding the first night, pulling a Mr. Phantasmo, reaching deep for the references here, and just building a tower of dirt and hiding for the night because of all the mobs. That is not out of the realm of... It's perfectly acceptable in FTB because it is pretty scary pretty fast. There are some mobs that are just a bit much. Dang it. And obviously we couldn't get our house finished on the very first day, which is likely to happen. It's hard in any version of Minecraft to get a suitable house built right off the bat, unless you're building your house in a cave or something like that, where you just want to put up some lights and then, you know, barricade yourself in and you're done. But that's not what I did, so I now have to live with the consequences. I also don't want to have to move later on, because when you set up your machines, or you start setting them up, it's a process to move everything, and there's a chance that the machines themselves will break when you go to pick them up, even if you're using the proper tools to pick them up. They can break. It's happened to me. They can break. It's happened to me before. So since it's happened to me before, like, I try not to do that. So I want to make a good-sized house right out of the gate, again, so that I don't have to worry about relocating when I get so many machines that it becomes necessary for me to have a larger house structure. So there's two ways you can build a house in IndustrialCraft, keeping in mind that you're going to be using IndustrialCraft, because what's going to happen is you're going to be doing a lot of wiring. You're going to have a lot of cables going all over the place. Those cables need a place to go. If they're just all out and about, it, number one, looks hideous, and number two, it gets in the way of everything. So the two ways to do that is either to do it how it's often done in real life, which is to run them through the wall, which would mean leaving space and creating an outer wall. Like, this would be the inner wall, leave a space, build another wall. That's very resource intensive. It also makes your house, like, just kind of weird, because it's very big, and then you get inside and you're like, oh, it's not that big at all. It's like the opposite of the TARDIS. So there's that to consider. Or you can run all your wires in a basement, which is what I prefer to do. Hello, zombie. So I prefer to run all of my wires in a basement and just run them up to the various machines. That, in my opinion, makes the most sense. So that's how I'm going to be wiring it. Of course, you can do it differently. This whole tutorial, the whole series that I plan on doing right here, is a guideline. It's obviously not the only way to do it, especially in FTB, because there's so many additional mods, and a lot of which we're not even going to be utilizing. So if you know of a particular mod that would help you do something faster, and again, certainly there are ways to get things done faster in FTB than just using IndustrialCraft, then by all means do that. Now, you'll notice that I'm making a pretty boring-looking house. It's just solid wood. There's no windows. That's because every time I've tried to make an IndustrialCraft house with windows or accents, and, like, I've tried to get clever about it, I end up having to cover up half the cleverness with my machines and whatnot. If you want a nice-looking house, like, build one up on the hill later on just for the view of it. But if you want a place to set up machines effectively, like, it's going to end up being boring. Well, this is inconvenient. Finished the house of everything except for a door. So how does the creeper manage to get in? Not looking at you. Not looking at you. There's a good example of a FTB danger. It's like a blaze, but in the normal overworld, and we are absolutely not capable of fighting that right now. So hopefully he, like, wanders away or something. Okay, so some more notes. So we know that we're going to need rubber. But to start off, we're not going to need a ton of rubber. Now, the raw rubber, as opposed to the, like, IndustrialCraft type, this has to be cooked in order to become a usable form of rubber. So, since we have nothing else to cook right now, we may as well get started by cooking some rubber now to get it out of the way. That type of rubber makes rubber bars, and then the IndustrialCraft just makes regular rubber. They're like little black balls of rubber. So it's important to get that squared away, taken care of, and as soon as you make some space, replanting these rubber saplings is a good idea so that you can continue to collect rubber. But again, I prefer the IndustrialCraft type, so as soon as I find some of those saplings, that's what I plan on planting. Now also, just like any other version of Minecraft, one of the most important things to do to get started is to start mining. There are some pretty good cave structures in FTB, but I still prefer the method of just digging a staircase down and getting it done. And on top of all the normal Minecraft stuff that we're going to need to get started, there's going to be some new stuff. So, new stuff number 1 is copper. Now, this is the thermal foundation version of copper. There's actually more than one mod that adds copper. Thankfully, thermal foundation is interchangeable with IndustrialCraft 2. So, we will be able to use this copper when making our IndustrialCraft 2 stuffs. To get started in IndustrialCraft, you're going to need a lot of different things, but of all the normal Minecraft ores and various things that you can find underground, the only one that we're not going to need is diamonds. So you don't have to go all the way down to the low levels, like, below, like 16 and below, because you're less likely to find the other things that we need if you actually go that low. We're looking for everything but diamonds, basically. I mean, of course, if we found diamonds, great, we're going to need them eventually. But to get started, we don't need diamonds. We need tons of iron. Iron is key. And we need the most valuable, quote-unquote, or rarest, quote-unquote, thing to find that we're going to need is going to be redstone. We're not going to get anything started or accomplished without redstone. As we go along, I'll be sure to point out things that we don't need, because obviously you can't help but see that I am picking up a ton of this particular ore. But as you can see in the description in the middle of the screen, this is for forestry, which is nice because everything that you look at has an explanation. See, that's regular Minecraft, that's from forestry. So I don't have to necessarily completely point that out, but yeah, some of these things, like the thermal foundations, technically not IC2, but is usable. Forestry has nothing to do with IC2. I would love to eventually get into it, like I would like to get into all the mods, but that's coming down the line. I guess now would be a good time to point out that I do plan on getting into a lot of the mods, not just IC2, but that's going to come much later. So what we'll call Season 1 of my FTB guide series that I'm currently working on here, the only thing that I'm going to get into for the most part is going to be IndustrialCraft, because that's what I know more about than anything else. That's my strong suit. For the other mods, they will come later, though, and because they do get very overpowered very quickly as far as how they enhance the overall game. And it's definitely worth mentioning them. It's just, that's going to come with time. I wanted to try to mostly focus on one mod at a time, so that throughout the length of the series, you'll be able to see how these things are going to fit together. If you thoroughly understand the interworkings of IndustrialCraft, then when we start talking about another mod that is not IndustrialCraft but related and can work with it, then you'll understand why it can work with it and how it best functions with it. I'm hoping that's what we're going to accomplish here. So that is my last piece of advice for the first episode of my FTB/IndustrialCraft 2 tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I hope it's been informative as we've gotten started on the basics of getting going. Next episode, we are going to touch on the machines. By the time the next episode rolls up, I will be completely ready to start actually making machines. I'll get a whole bunch of the mining accomplished and out of the way, and that is what we will do. So I appreciate the view and support as always. Your very warm comments on the FTB video that I made that I posted today, the day of recording this, is a lot of the reason why I decided to go with this, because I was considering it, and then I had a lot of warm comments that were very reassuring and made me say, you know what, I'm going to go for this. So I pay attention to those comments, I really do, and they really mean a lot to me. So again, thanks for the support. I really appreciate it, and I will see everybody next time. Later.